Welcome back! Welcome back to Ave Explores Live. Hopefully this live video works this time. Technology sometimes is never our friend when it comes to these things. Hopefully you join us real quick as we get started here on this Ave Explores Live here on the Ave Maria Press page. We are so thrilled and so excited to get to have you joining us. Like we said just a few moments ago, and we'll say it all again as you join us really quickly on this Ave Explores Live. We're going to be walking through the wonderful Advent book, Adore, from Ave Maria Press author, Father John Burns, and illustrated by the incredibly talented Valerie Delgado. You probably know her as Pax.Valerie here on Instagram. All throughout the season of Advent, we're going to be here every Monday at 11:30 right now on the Ave Maria Press Instagram page, and we are going to journey together through the themes of this book and talk about the art specifically. What really makes this book really special and unique is the art inside of it. So joining us is the artist behind Adore, Valerie Delgado. We're going to join her in the live. Hopefully it works this time and I don't hit the wrong button. Sometimes technology and I are not friends. There she is. Hey.
Hello.
Okay. Sorry about that.
No, you're fine. Technology.
So Valerie, welcome. Congratulations, by the way. I think this is one of the best sellers Ave has ever had. It's such a great book. Tell us a little bit about, the first time I ever met you, you were a youth minister in Houston, Texas, and our mutual friend Matt Raggett said she does art. And I was like, oh, wow, this is awesome. And now it's what you do full time. Tell us a little bit about your story. How did you get into creating beautiful Catholic art?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I was a youth minister. And during that time, I always had this desire to create. I didn't grow up doing art or taking art classes. I was more into like music and choir and like all of that stuff. And in like 2016, it was a summer day. I was bored out of my mind and I just had this longing to create something. So I went to my local craft store, bought some paint, bought some brushes, and I was really just inspired by faith-inspired art, whether it's, calligraphy and writing scripture and painting flowers and just all things beautiful. So I just dedicated myself to practicing that as like a hobby full time. And then eventually I wanted to start digital art because it was easier. I could bring it with me anywhere. So I would just practice. I would watch YouTube videos, learn different techniques. And then 2020 pandemic happened. Obviously things in youth ministry slowed down so much. So I thought, well, why not try and start a business in the middle of a pandemic? I have the time, but and so I opened it. And that's where things just kind of blew up in the best way possible. That was the year I illustrated my first book. And then I got in contact with people from Ave Maria and they told me about this idea for this Advent book. And it's one of the best opportunities I've ever been given. So
yeah. I love that it was I'm bored, I want to create something. And a lot of people, like when they're bored, they just keep scrolling or they turn something on Netflix. I love that you wanted to do something somewhat productive. Art for its own sake is good, but art that is then able to be shared with the world and decorate homes and lead people closer to Christ. We have your image of the Holy Family eating together at our breakfast nook, which is an image that I have wanted for the longest time because I want the Holy Family next to us while we're having our Fruit Loops in the morning. Like it means something to me, right? Like your art really, it speaks to people in a beautiful way. So give us, we've got 4 weeks to do this. So we're going to hear a lot about the story, but what was it like to find out, okay, we want you to help illustrate and bring to life the words that Father John has written for Advent specifically. What does the Advent season mean to you?
Yeah, well, I've always loved Advent, as it is, this new year in the Catholic Church, this like excitement. And I've always just loved that, that feeling of anticipation, waiting for the Lord to be born. And the Holy Family has always meant so much to me, coming from a family that never really took faith seriously. I don't have parents that go to mass all the time. So when faith became an important part of my life when I was in high school, I was really drawn to families that would come together at mass, pray together before meals, invite me over for dinner, and just getting to witness the beauty that is the faith in the family. So Advent, just the fact that it is this story of Mary and Joseph having to come together and journey to Bethlehem for the safety of their family, and also out of necessity, and just everything about that. So when I was invited to do Adore, this Advent journal, I'm like, the possibilities are endless, and I'm so excited to just pray and dream and see what we can put together.
Yeah. So what did that praying and dreaming look like? And we'll dig into this in the themes in the coming weeks that we do this, but that initial, okay, I got the words, I know what he's going to be talking about. How did you come up with some of these images that we see in the book?
Yeah, so when they sent me the themes, obviously Father John was still writing the majority of the book, so I just kind of got the main outline, and so I took it with me to prayer. I went to adoration, and I'm just like, okay, what do these words mean to me? Because really, like, I had maybe the first couple days of week one that were mostly completed by Father John, but the rest was just like, this is the week's theme. This is what we're aiming for. We'll send you more when we have more. I'm like, okay. So yeah, this first week with it being vigilance and watchfulness, I'm gonna be honest and say I think it was the hardest week for me to think of something because I'm like, okay, I want to draw the Holy Family, but I feel like we're not there yet. That's more of a week 4. So I just came up with a lot of different ideas. Like at one point I'm like, okay, maybe drawing into like the shepherds or what. But then I was sitting in adoration and just that theme of like watchfulness and being attentive, and this idea of like the nativity scene but without the Holy Family and without, you know, the 3 wise men and, you know, the normal scene that we normally see, but what if we took all of that out and it is just a barn, like a stable, a manger, the animals, and so when I drew up this initial image, how there are like sleeping animals, but then there's that one like baby lamb that is awake and looking up at the manger, and I'm like, you know, the lamb, like, it means so much to us in the Catholic faith. Like, the lamb is Jesus. There's also like that image of Jesus holding a lamb, and I always picture myself as a little lamb and Jesus is just holding me. But yeah, just the idea that like this tiny baby creature, like, he knows that something is coming, something magical is about to happen in that manger, in that stable on that night. So yeah, it just all kind of came together in my head, and like, okay, this is it. And I sent it to Ave, and they were like, yes, this is it. Like,
love it. Yeah, love it. Yeah. Well, let's color that image together and kind of keep talking about it. So this is the first time we've done this, folks. It might take a moment of logistical setup.
Bear with me as I rotate my camera
while we color. Yeah, we're gonna change our cameras around. So I'm gonna turn my camera around. There we go. We're gonna get to the completed image. Let's get to it. There we go. So you don't have to watch me attempt to color. I did swipe some of my child's crayons in anticipation of doing this. And then
good.
I only printed out one, and I was given strict instructions by my 4-year-old not to do it without her. So
good.
I will be coloring later with the 4-year-old.
I love that.
So you were mentioning the lamb. The first time I showed the book to my daughter and showed her the pictures, because of course mail comes in and Rose thinks it's all for her.
Of course.
She was, her first question was, is that the donkey from the Star? Everybody has seen that movie.
Yeah.
And I said, well, it can be. Do you want it to be the donkey from the Star? And fun fact, the guy who voices the donkey from the Star, the guy who voices Joseph in that movie is from Lake Charles. So I feel a bit of a connection
Oh, that's so fun.
to that. But okay, I think I've got it, folks. So this is what your completed image is going to look like as you're working on your own color by number with Valerie. So let's talk a little bit more about that lamb.
Mm-hmm.
And he's looking up. Why did you choose a lot of like depictions of the nativity scene? You get lambs, you get donkeys, sometimes there's cows. I have one kid's one that's got a chicken, and I don't know if it's a rogue chicken that threw in there, but what was there any semblance with, is that the donkey maybe that carried them? Like what was your thinking?
Yeah, so I definitely wanted to include the donkey because honestly, like up until I got connected with my faith, I'm like, oh, donkeys. I mean, what's special about them? But, just thinking about the fact that there's this animal that carried our Blessed Mother with Jesus in her womb all this way, all the way to the manger. I think that's so powerful, and I don't think people think about that enough. The fact that this animal was chosen to carry our Blessed Mother all this way. So initially, like for me, it was just a donkey, like the powerful idea of just having this animal there. And I think there's freedom in that, and thinking, okay, is it the donkey that carried that journeyed with the Holy Family? I don't know. There's endless possibilities there.
Yeah, I mean, and that's definitely one of the themes of that movie, right? Like that it is just this little donkey. I also love how there's the star up in the corner, right? Like this, the image that we get of that is the star, that is the Christ star. As you were putting the image together, so you mentioned you do digital art. What is that? I mean, we're all coloring on a piece of paper right now,
Right.
But you said you had to watch YouTube videos. I have a few artist friends who have tried to make the jump into digital art, and it's challenging for them. What does your process look like on a screen with an Apple Pencil?
Yeah, so I first like Google all sorts of different reference photos, and that took a lot of time, just in my journey as an artist, studying body movements and postures, and how to draw that and portray that on my tiny little iPad screen. So when it came to this image, I had several different images of donkeys and sheeps and stable and hay, and just trying to figure out my angles and how I wanted to piece it all together. So I would, have three different images of sheep pulled up, and I'm like, well, I like the face of this one, and the legs of this one, and the body of this one, and just trying to draw that all together to create this. And that takes a lot of I think pre-planning and drawing and figuring out, which is a big reason why I love digital art, is because like if I don't like something, it's very easy for me to remove it and start new without anything wasted.
Yeah. I love how too in this image the manger almost seems to be glowing. It's got a Caravaggio-esque feel of like the source of light. Obviously, that's hinting at who's going to be in that manger later on. Who are some of your favorite sacred artists that really have inspired you over the years?
Well, Caravaggio is definitely a big one, and I owe that to Matt Regetz, because he would, when Matt was my youth minister back in the day, and he would give talks, he always showed beautiful paintings of Caravaggio. But then other than that, like most of my daily inspiration comes from other fellow Catholic artists. People who just pour their life into their art. Some of them have businesses, some of them work for churches. One of my favorite Texas locals is Randy Fromell. He lives in like the North Texas area, and I've gotten to meet him a couple of times, but I've seen him do the most beautiful paintings, like large scale paintings in churches, and stained glass, and just all of these different things. And it's cool to think about how he's like this modern day church painter, which I feel like we don't think about super often. but yeah, I mean, there's just so many Catholic artists that are doing such beautiful, beautiful work. Another one is Jessica from the Living Heart Co. She's another one here on Instagram whose work is just truly, truly incredible. And she does a lot of digital artwork as well that I love.
Yeah, her Saint Josephine Bakhita was on my Christmas list, sent to my husband just the other day.
Goodness.
I don't think he's watching this right now because he's sleeping, but if he is, just hint, hint, dear.
Hint.
I really want that for the house.
I love that.
So as you're coloring right now, but even as you work through things on your iPad and you're creating this imagery, obviously like prayer factors into what you're doing. How can, say, me, who has a Crayola kit that I stole from my child's playroom, I mean, how can art maybe help me kind of enter into the words that Father John has written, or perhaps even another scripture scene or an image of a saint that really inspires me into their life? I mean, a little bit Visio Divina, right? Like how can people use art to help them pray?
Yeah, absolutely. So, funny enough, like I've never been much of a journaler. Words are just not my gift, and it's not how I process things. So I used to just bring a little journal that I would doodle in when I would go to adoration. And it's not always these big like art pieces that are inspired in front of the Blessed Sacrament. Sometimes it's just something really simple, like a flower, and then I think of a couple words and then I write them down, and then I just like continue doodling and just kind of let my mind rest. I don't know, art is a very big peacemaker for me. And so I use that. And so for this, like I don't know, I feel like this is something that I would do in the morning with my cup of coffee after reading the beautiful words that Father John Burns wrote, and just kind of let my mind process as I focus on this one image, because that's just how I process best.
Yeah. Well, it's almost like it's something that can be done. I want to make sure my phone is not cockeyed for folks so they can get the full image. My sock, what are those things called? Pop socket.
Yeah, pop socket.
They're not agreeing with one another. But I one of my favorite things to do with my daughter during the Advent season, and this, I say one of my favorite things to do, I mean, this really is the first season where she has been as into it as I have been, is to look at the art in this book, or to even look at the imagery in the nativity scenes, to try to use that as an access point of, okay, let's place ourselves in the image. Let's try to imagine what's going on in the circumstance. Just a little while ago, I was at our local Catholic bookstore, and I'm kicking myself now because apparently it's already sold. I called right before we went live to see if they would put it aside for me, but it was a beautiful nativity. It was just a little too big for like a table. It's like you put it on a floor, but Joseph is holding Jesus and Mary's like next to him, and you don't see that very often. And like that image always very much speaks to me, because it's like, again, like Joseph is being a dad, like he's doing this. Mom would totally be sleeping after giving birth to a child, but art can give us kind of a moment of, it brings you back to, say, when my girls were born, or like for Rose, it like reminds her of how she feels, like she sees a piece of art and it makes her happy. Or even my 1-year-old Claire, who will point at pictures throughout the house and try to say the names of people that we love, or perhaps if it's Jesus, an image that really, that she recognizes that guy. Oh, that's the guy that we are talking about in church. We've only got a couple more minutes, and as folks are working on their own art, and perhaps even they're going to continue working on it when they get home, tell us a little bit about the colors and the color scheme of the Adore book, because there's a lot of times with Advent we immediately think purple and pink, but you guys have really, you especially, have done this beautiful thing of kind of bringing that blue tone out. Was there a reason for that, or was it just because that was the color that you loved the most when creating everything?
I think when creating it, I'm going to be honest and say purple is one of my least favorite colors. So I definitely struggle liturgically. But I really wanted to just set the scene, one, like outdoors, and then at night, because there is this like anticipation of the light that is coming, which is that daylight that that Christ brings. So I wanted to stick to that nighttime theme, and I don't know, just make it beautiful and starry, and I don't know. I loved the blue that we ended up choosing for each scene.
Well, and it is so beautiful. So I mentioned that Catholic bookstore that I walked into earlier. They had these right up at the front, and we walked in, and I went, I know those people, and it stands out in a sea of purple and pink during the Advent season. The blue of the Adore certainly stands out. Well, Valerie, we are. I'm gonna turn back. You keep coloring because it's incredibly soothing to watch you color. For folks who want to know, of course, what the image looks like when it's complete, you can see the images on the Ave Maria Press website, or of course buy the book Adore, a guided Advent journal for prayer and meditation. And Valerie, tell us where we can go to your shop as well and see all the other incredible stuff that you've created.
Yeah, my website is www.paxbeloved.com. And you can actually buy all of the images that are in Adore as prints, as like 5x7, 8x10, 11x14. And then I have a bunch of other images as well. Advent is my favorite season, so I'm constantly inspired and drawing and just designing more. Because yeah, it's just such a beautiful season to pray with,
to dig into. Well, you've done great work. We can't wait to be back with you next week. We are doing this series all Advent long, right here on Ave Maria Press's Instagram page. So you can join us at 11:30. Grab a cup of coffee, grab your crayons and your color sheet that you can print out from the Ave Maria Press website, and join us for a chat about the themes of that particular week. Of course, this first week of the Adore Journal, we're talking about the season and season of Advent, of course, an overview, but really how this is a season of watchfulness. This is a season of intentional watchfulness and preparation, and what is the Lord trying to watch with us? What are we trying to watch the Lord do? If you click on over to Apple Podcasts, Google Play, or Spotify, you'll find our first Ave Explorers Advent episode with good friend of Ave Maria Press, Sarah Swafford. She and I chat about what does watchfulness look like in our family, and how sometimes, and this was a conversation between two Catholic moms, how sometimes in Advent we get a little worked up. Am I doing all the right stuff? And it's a great conversation. I think it'll put you at ease for sure of I'm not doing enough for the Advent season. Remember, of course, you can grab a copy of Adore over at Ave Maria Press's website. If you order it today, you'll have plenty of time to get it for most of the Advent season. We're just right at day one, folks, so you've got plenty of time. And we'll be right back here on Ave Maria Press's Instagram page next Monday at 11:30 to talk about week 2 and to work through another image together. Make sure you download your color by number sheet over on the Ave Maria Press website. We'll be back next week with a whole lot more. Valerie, thanks so much for joining us. Happy Advent, my friend.
Thanks, Katie. Happy Advent.